Optique 2000 brings you the Optique 2000 Tunisian Rally.
Welcome to the fifth day in Africa from the Tunisian Rally. This is Ben Edwards taking a look back, first of all, at the events from yesterday as the competitors set off from El Bourma to Ksargi Lane. Relatively undemanding terrain greeted Stefan Pederhansel and the others as they headed towards the oasis town. The fairly challenging route meant that some were able to gain time through better navigation. Pederhansel himself certainly finding a better route than the others and setting his fastest time of the stage, and that was his first fastest time of the event in fact. It was enough to give him the overall lead in the rally at the end of the leg, and he took a 12-minute 33-second advantage in today's stage 5. Thierry Magnaldi was the man who was closest to him on the number 3 KTM. Magnaldi setting second fastest time, but that was some 6 minutes 28 seconds behind Pederhansel. Pederhansel certainly finding a better route. It was a little bit of a gamble for him, but it seemed to pay off. Magnaldi taking the more defined route according to the road book, and therefore losing out those 6 minutes. But Magnaldi still well up in the overall race itself, and he's 12 minutes 33 behind Pederhansel as they checked in to Ksargi Lane. Jordi Alcaron's on the Lucky Strike KTM, the Spanish rider, the only Spanish rider in fact competing in the event, but another one to keep an eye on, setting fast times all the way through the event so far. Very, very experienced and still looking for that elusive major win on one of these types of events. Has had numerous second places, including this year's Paris-Dakar Paris, finishing second to Eddie Orioli. But Arcaron's looking for the major win. Into one of the checkpoints, a quick stamp to make sure that he's passed the correct route and then continuing on again. The dunes from the day before had been left behind, and the route itself, although fairly tricky to find the correct way, certainly giving the riders the opportunity to get some fairly high speeds and not to worry too much about getting their machines stuck in the soft sand. Gianpaolo Quaglino, one of the veteran riders in the event, in the veterans category, a separate category for the older riders, 41 years old. This is his 5th Tunisian rally, in fact, and Quaglino going very well yesterday, moving himself up the order into 7th place overall. An excellent performance from one of the older riders. The leading German in the event is this man, Jürgen Meyer, on his KTM. Took 6th place in yesterday's stage, and that gave him 6th place overall, and the first German rider in the top 20. The only German rider, in fact, to feature until we get down to about 25th position. Number 24, Aldo Winkler, 24th on the stage yesterday, and somebody trying to work his way up. 20th place overall in the classifications as they arrived at Ksargi Lane at the end of yesterday's leg. Marcel Pilet, one of the most experienced Frenchmen in the event, was 9th fastest yesterday, holding on to 11th place overall on his Kawasaki. First Kawasaki overall on the event, but he was beaten for the Kawasaki honours yesterday by Alain Olivier, the man who'd won the prologue section when the competitors had run the first section at Toulon in France before they got to Tunisia last weekend. This is Heinz Kindergartner, and today was to be started without Heinz Kindergartner and without Fabrizio Mioni. The two of them withdrawing as a mark of respect after yesterday's tragic news that Angelo Cavandoli, the young Italian 30-year-old who's been a front runner in the rally raids for a few years now, was sadly killed right towards the end of the stage. He came off his bike travelling at about 100 miles an hour and was thrown off the machine travelling about 30 metres through the air, and unfortunately a bad landing, breaking his neck, and Cavandoli killed and Kindergartner withdrawing from the event. Well, in the car section yesterday, the Citroens continued to head the rest of the field fairly comfortably, and it was Hubert Auriol who continued to try and charge, to try and make up for the damage to his radiator, which cost him so much time earlier in the week. He lost 3.5 hours through the damage done then, and since then he's really been going absolutely flat out in this latest evolution version of the car to try and make up some ground. Well, earlier in the week it looked as though he wouldn't have much chance of getting a good position, but he's got himself up into 4th place, and 3rd is not too far away. Timo Salonen continuing to lead the event overall, maintaining around about a 14-minute advantage over his teammate Pierre Lartigue. The Citroens looking very, very strong in this event, an event that Mitsubishi decided not to compete in after their latest Pajero. They're working on a brand new car, not yet ready. We won't be seeing that until the Atlas Rally a little bit later in the year. So Mitsubishi not playing on this event this time. Last year it was the other way around, with Mitsubishi competing and Citroen deciding to sit it out. So it makes the result to a certain extent a foregone conclusion, but which Citroen is going to be there when they reach the end of the rally on Sunday at Duerba? Jean-Louis Schlesser holding on to 3rd place at the end of yesterday, and a good performance in the buggy once again. He was in fact 4th fastest on the stage, losing around about 26 minutes to Hubert Auriol, the man that he's really got to think about as Auriol tries to make up that lost ground. Schlesser very happy with the performance of this car, now fitted with a much more powerful engine, getting nearly 300 brake horsepower, and he's certainly been going better and better throughout the course of the week. We'll be back in just a moment with coverage from today's events. To the action from today's special stage number 5 of the Tunisian Rally, a 219-kilometre section, some 135 miles, around the oasis town of Ksarki Lane. They started off there this morning and they ended up there again this evening, and the teams and support personnel able to stay in the town all day. Well, the local inhabitants getting a view of a fairly different mode of transport across the desert, right on the edge of the Grand Erg Oriental Desert here. And Stefan Pederhansel, the first man on the road, the overall race leader, continuing to set some quick times today. On the Yamaha, this is a prototype bike in the prototype category of the motorcycle section. And this bike built especially to compete on the Rally of Tunisia. Pederhansel very much a superstar in France, with his past record of French Enduro Championships, World Enduro Championships, and his success on the rally raid scene over the past 4 years or so, and very much a favourite to win the event now, particularly with the withdrawal of Kindergartner. But it was this man, Thierry Magnaldi, the other Frenchman right at the top of the pack, who actually set the fastest times today. He was 52 seconds faster over the 135 miles than Stefan Pederhansel, so close competitive stuff today. And Magnaldi holding on to his 2nd place overall. He's 11 minutes 41 seconds behind as the competitors relax tonight and get ready for the next section. So he's still got a chance of perhaps taking the overall lead if Pederhansel runs into any problems in the remainder of the event. All of the motorcycle competitors saying at the end of today that they're all struggling a little bit to get their minds in gear and to concentrate. And Magnaldi himself saying he found himself making some unusual mistakes. Their minds really very much on Cavandoli's accident yesterday. Well, Jordi Arcarons himself on a KTM really felt as though he wanted to withdraw from the event after the events of yesterday, but the Lucky Strike team, Spanish sponsorship, and they wanted to continue, so Arcarons continuing today and setting the third fastest time on this stage by 3 minutes 57 seconds slower than Thierry Magnaldi. Alain Olivier here on the Kawasaki. Well, he had problems today, and the man who won the prologue section and who'd gone well yesterday was to withdraw by the end of today's leg. Jordi Arcarons into one of the checkpoints. Along the way, they have to get to each and every checkpoint to ensure that they've passed the correct route. In between the checkpoints, they can decide for themselves to a certain extent how they get there, but they must get to each and every checkpoint. Arcarons getting into difficulties here. He had carburetor problems. It had actually taken him a little while to find this checkpoint. He'd got a little bit lost in trying to find his route, lost some few minutes, and then he lost a little bit more time here, struggling to try and get the carburetor set up right. KTM using a single-cylinder four-stroke. It's around about 600 cc. So quite a big single-cylinder four-stroke engine. A little bit of assistance required, but he managed to get it fired up again and not losing too much time. He lost a fair bit yesterday in the wake of Cavandoli's accident because he stopped off to see if there's anything he could do. Well, there was nothing anybody could do, but it has dropped Arcarons down the order a little bit. And meanwhile, Marc Evesian refueling at the Holt. He was 36th today and holding on to 31st place overall. This is Andrea Meyer, and terrible news for her and for Herbert Scheck and Cornelia Scheck as well, as they were excluded from the event today after getting to the starting off point too late to make the start of this stage. So that was sad news for the German team. Well, as you can see, the terrain becoming a little bit more difficult today as they got into some fairly difficult dunes once more. This is Jackie Taylor, after suffering a fall, finally getting the bike restarted and trying to get out of this fairly soft sand. Around about 26 kilometers, around about 15 miles of these dunes with very, very soft sand, and a lot of the bikers getting into a fair bit of trouble. And well, you can see once again Jackie Taylor struggling to get out of the sand. This is Jordi Arcarons having finished today, and he was telling us how he lost some time through the navigation getting it a little bit wrong when the clouds actually hid the sun, which caused him a little bit of problems because he couldn't navigate as easily. And then at the checkpoint, as we saw, he had problems with the carburetor and the engine just didn't want to run properly. Thankfully they managed to sort it out and he was able to continue after that. Jürgen Meyer, top German rider in the event, coming into the final checkpoint as well. And Jürgen just telling us that it was difficult today to ride as fast as he had done in previous days because of what happened yesterday. He says now the distances between the riders has rather grown rather a lot, but really all that he's worried about is getting to the end of the rally safely with no accidents. He hasn't had any accidents yet, he says, but he doesn't want to have any either, and he intends to make it to the finish of the rally in one piece. Well, this is Eric Belfoy, a veteran Formula 3 and Formula 3000 driver who's now switched to the world of rally raids on two wheels. He's been doing a year of rally raids. He says just as when I raced cars, I'm here not really to win but to have some fun. I really enjoy it. I love riding the bike. I'd like to have a go on four wheels as well. I'd like to have a go in the car, but perhaps in one of the buggies. He says, I think I could go quite well in one of the buggies, and perhaps I could give Jean-Louis Schlesser a little bit of a run in one of those. Well, temperatures today very, very high indeed. It was getting up to about 38 degrees Celsius, and the competitors really struggling in the latter stages. This is Eric Delatang almost collapsing at the end of the stage, and almost falling off the bike with his exhaustion and dehydration. So very difficult conditions for all of the competitors today, and thankfully Delatang holding on to 8th place overall and taking a very well-deserved drink. So the position on the bikes after the end of special stage number 5, Peter Hansel leading the way and Thierry Monialdi in 2nd place. It's the two Frenchmen at the front of the field, Spaniard 3rd and German 4th and Italian 5th. So a very wide cross-section. We're going to have a look at the cars in just a moment. Stay with us here on Eurosport. And so to the action on four wheels once again, as the local four-legged desert transport continues to find a way past the rally. And the battle today really between these two cars, Hubert Auriol and Jean-Louis Schlesser. Well, the battle between the two of them really for 3rd place. Hubert Auriol, in his charge back up after losing so much time earlier in the week, really has been setting some fantastic times on the last few days, and for the 3rd day in a row he set the fastest time today, 5 minutes and 50 seconds ahead of the other Citroens. Jean-Louis Schlesser losing 48 minutes today to Auriol thanks to a mistake on navigation. He got lost trying to find the first checkpoint and lost around 25 minutes doing that, and then losing a bit of time just on the speed across the stage as well. So he's beginning to get a little bit worried now about the attack of Hubert Auriol, and hoping that he can hold on to that third place to the end of the rally on Sunday. This is Jean-Louis Schlesser. We had a quick word with him after the stage, and he says, well, he's hoping he can hold on to it. He's up against the might of the factory Citroen team, and he's only a small team. He says it's a bit like David versus Goliath, but he intends to continue the battle all the way to the end. So Schlesser looking in good form, and let's hope that he can see if he can hold off the Citroen attack, because the Citroens are certainly going well enough at the front, with Timo Salonen still holding the overall lead. He was slightly faster than Pierre Lartigue today, and Salonen ending up today some 14 minutes 44 seconds ahead of his teammate. Fred Gallagher, his co-driver, celebrating his 42nd birthday today, so many happy returns to Fred as he continues to sit alongside Timo Salonen and tries to win the Rally of Tunisia of 1994. Pierre Lartigue, the winner of this event 4 times in the past, really does know the terrain very, very well, but both Citroens taking things a little bit steadier than their third teammate Hubert Auriol. They just want to stay out of trouble. Of course, there may be a little bit of rivalry between the two of them, but with Salonen 14 minutes ahead, really the Guy Freckelin and the rest of the Citroen management surely will be just asking them to take it a little bit steady and look after the machinery. The Nissans have been going well all the way through the event as well. This is Duarte Guedes, once again 5th fastest today and holding on to his 5th place overall. These more standard vehicles, not having the amount of power that the Citroens have, and not having the same sort of wheel suspension articulation that the Citroens and the Buggies have. So they aren't able to get over the ground quite as quickly and quite as easily. That was Jerome Riviere's Buggy stopped, and Riviere in big trouble today. There he is in the Duke Z Buggy, and although he got going here, mechanical problems intervened for Riviere today, and he never actually managed to make it to the finish before the allotted time. So Riviere out of the event today, the end of the Tunisian rally for Jerome Riviere. His first attempt on the rally, and a great shame after a good battle in the early stages of the event with Schlesser for the title of fastest Buggy. Michel Gabillon continues to lead in the T1 category, the standard class, with his Nissan Terrano, and still involved in a good battle with his teammate Yves Strugo. Listen to the engine working as they try to get through these dunes. This is Jean-Pierre Fontenay. He's had problems, transmission problems, and problems with the four-wheel drive on his Mitsubishi Pajero, but he went well today, 7th fastest, and this V6 powered standard car really going very, very well indeed. V6 engine certainly sounding good as he gives it the gun over these big sand dunes. Dominique Cusio, another of the Nissans right up near the front of the field. He's in 6th place overall. 10th fastest today and well up in the overall order. Cutting his way through the dunes using that four-wheel drive, whereas this lady, Jutta Kleinschmidt, having to make do with just rear-wheel drive on her Buggy. Rear-engine car, and listen to it on the rev limiter, popping away. Trying not to lose the traction, just keeping her foot in. And the rear wheel's just spinning away, but not losing momentum. That's the key thing. As soon as the vehicle comes to a stop, then you've had it. The thing just digs itself in. So Jutta Kleinschmidt doing a great job of keeping the momentum going with the Schlesser buggy. This is Sven Quant, and Sven ended up 11th fastest today in the Mitsubishi, holding on to 10th place overall, moving up one with the loss of Riviere. And this is Alain Ambrosino, about to run into trouble. Now, what did we say about coming to a halt? Ambrosino just losing the momentum there. He got stuck on the crest of the dune, and now he's got the hard work of digging himself back out again. So difficulties for many of the competitors today. Gerard Jougua and Donald Anderson in their Land Rover. And this, the leader of the truck section, Klaus Baul and Hans-Joachim Stock in the Unimog. 22nd overall and leading the truck section of the rally. But problems for them as well in trying to help some of the other competitors. Jean-Claude Micoulot and Bruno Grock with their Range Rover. Once you've got these big heavy vehicles stuck, it's so difficult to get them back out again. Well, no such problems for the overall leaders then. Timo Salonen still continuing to lead by over 14 minutes from Pierre Lartigue, and the two Citroens looking very strong. Looking forward to the battle between Schlesser and Oriol over the remainder of the event, though. Still a couple of days to go in the Tunisia rally. Join us here on Eurosport to see how it resolves itself.
Optique 2000 brought you the Optique 2000.